The Pope, the unwavering figurehead of the Catholic Church. He is guided and led from inside the Vatican for hundreds and hundreds of years, and probably will for many years to come. But the Pope's position of authority hasn't always been so stable. And the Pope hasn't always been elected in the most, let's say, sensible way. And there are even times when there are 1, 2, even 3 popes all claiming to be the real one at the same time. If you think medieval ecclesiastical history is boring, then please buckle up and hang on to your mitre, because this is gonna be a wild ride. After the western part of the Roman Empire dissolved, the Pope took on the role of religious leader for this new era. Unfortunately, not all of Rome's neighbours were on the same page about this development, and the Franks, Ostrogoths, the Lombards, the Visigoths, the Normans all kept inconveniently attacking. What was needed was a strong military opposition and someone to manage the food supply and sort out all the other stuff you don't think is a problem until it is. The occasional Pope managed this splendidly, but generally it's difficult to keep society functioning while also being responsible for promoting the spread of Christianity around the land. That part sounds like the job for a king, or even an emperor. Luckily for the Pope, the Carolingian Empire was next door, and its kingdom of the East Franks was doing very well for itself. So well, in fact, that its king, Otto the Great, did such a great job defending Rome from attackers that the Pope crowned him as the first Holy Roman Emperor. This made it clear to everyone what the situation was. The Holy Roman Emperor was like the Pope's right-hand man. He dealt with mundane, earthly matters like crushing rebellions and giving the local lords something to do, while the Pope could get on with his important ecclesiastic duties. And that was that. All sorted. Here was the papacy as we know it now. Well, not quite yet. Otto the Great had successfully removed external threats from pesky attackers, but what he could not do was resolve the threats from within. Italy was full of rival factions who all wanted their family and their friends to be on the top of the pile. Being the Pope was a highly respected and prestigious position which naturally all the rival families wanted access to. And so they were all trying to gain the position using a little bit of corruption, a little bit of nepotism, a little bit of bribery. And this culminated in the 1040s when there was a small issue in the papacy, being that there were 3 popes. Benedict IX was elected as Pope in 1032. At 20 years old, he was one of the youngest popes ever. His dad had secured the election using a spot of bribery, probably to give his wayward son something useful to do. But Benedict's reputation soon fell into tatters. There were constant rumours of him doing things that were inappropriate for the head of the church to do. So in September 1044, the people of Rome all got together to get rid of him. They drove Benedict out the city and decided that Sylvester III would replace him as true, legitimate and pious pope. Now, Benedict didn't like this turn of events very much, and in April 1045 he came back with vengeance to expel Sylvester and seize the papacy for himself once again. Benedict soon realised that the whole pope business was actually pretty tiring. Would he even be able to hold on to his position when everyone had made it very clear they wanted him out? And also he'd quite like to get married one of these days, and his cousin seemed like a lovely lady. By May 1045, he'd had enough, and he went to his godfather for advice. They agreed that Benedict would give the papacy to his godfather, who would reimburse all the election costs. He definitely did not straight up buy it from him. Benedict's godfather duly became the newest true, legitimate and pious pope, Gregory VI. Unfortunately for Benedict, things didn't go as planned with his cousin, and she rejected him. The rumours of murder probably didn't help him out. So he changed his mind once again and went back to Rome to reclaim the papacy. He took over Rome with just a small bit of military force, and there he was, the Pope again. Except Gregory VI continued to be recognised by everyone as the true Pope. And also Sylvester III was back at it again, reasserting his claim to the papacy too. So it was a bit of a mess. It's a bit hard to do anything as a pope when there are 3 of you arguing about who gets to wear the papal tiara. There was only one person who could sort this out, the Holy Roman Emperor. In late 1046, Henry III was summoned across the Alps to restore order. He said, "You know what, I've had enough of you all," and he deposed Benedict and Sylvester. Then he strongly advised Gregory to resign because he had bought the papacy, which is rule number 1 of how not to become the Pope. Henry appointed his own hand-picked Pope after this, Clement II, who he hoped would finally put an end to this nonsense. But if you think Benedict would go quietly after all he'd been through to gain the papacy several times now, then you would be mistaken. Benedict rejected his deposition because he hadn't bothered to turn up to the Council of Sutri, where the deposition had taken place. He seized his opportunity when Clement II died in October 1047, and he took hold of the Lateran Palace this time to declare himself once more as true, legitimate and pious Pope. But it was not to last. In July 1048, troops from the Holy Roman Empire had to make their way all the way down to southern Italy to kick out Benedict once and for all. Henry III appointed Damasus II as the new pope, a nice, reliable, German-born pope who hopefully wouldn't cause any more trouble or die at an inopportune time again. Benedict was called to face charges for being the most chaotic pope so far, but he didn't turn up. He was excommunicated from the church, and that's the last we hear of him until his death in 1056. After all of this nonsense, Henry III took matters into his own hands and appointed his own trustworthy popes and bishops to keep everything in check. And that was that. Papal order was achieved. Nothing else to worry about after this little triple pope mix-up. No popes and their anti-popes already, anti-popes to be seen. And definitely no disputes causing so much tension that one pope relocates to France while the other sits it out in Rome as they both engage in a fierce, decades-long propaganda war to determine who will be the true, legitimate and pious pope once and for all. No, nothing like that. That would be ridiculous.